What's become of the Bobby Lashley-Omos feud? Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes blend fantasy and reality? And have I found the best host Raw Talk's never had? I'm Casualeann. Come with me. Raw Talk May 30th, 2022 edition starts with the final moments of Raw. Bobby Lashley putting Omos through a table after MVP silently directing Bobby to also look at Omos while he was delivering his promo. This is a beautiful and sad thing all at once. MVP knows that we see this as a feud between the two of them, while Omos is kind of the straggler and Cedric Alexander is the bump-taking straggler of the straggler. So even while he's managing Omos, he's still trying to help Lashley help Omos feel important. You can't fault the man for the effort. I just don't know if it's working. Quick note on last week's Raw Talk. I absolutely loved that the news broke of MVP's decision on Raw Talk itself. The match literally became a handicap match in that segment, and you know I love it when there are actual developments on the post shows. It's more of an incentive to watch. I just wanted to mention that the schedule has had to undergo some changes since the brand split is essentially non-existent now, so Raw impacts SmackDown, SmackDown impacts Raw, but just wanted to mention that. Raw Talk, Talking Smack, keep with the breaking news happening on the shows. We also see some clips from six-man action between Alpha Academy and Kevin Owens and the Mysterios and Ezekiel, which was absolutely hilarious. Ezekiel gets the pin over Chad Gable. Now, Kevin Patrick has KO backstage. KO's sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor. Kevin Patrick asks about Ezekiel, and KO asks if Kevin thinks he's cute. He says he will not say anything until Kevin admits that he thinks he's cute. And Kevin says, a little. Kevin says, you're handsome, but you're not being cute right now. You think you're cute with your beautiful blue eyes, and in Hell in a Cell, I'm gonna beat the hell out of Ezekiel. So Kevin Patrick asks why Ezekiel bothers him so much. Kevin says, it doesn't bother him. He's driving him insane. WrestleMania was the biggest night of his career, and he lost to Austin, who took advantage of his back injury. But he lost. Ezekiel is Elias. He winds up for another rant, and Kevin says that they're running out of time, and KO's like, no, I'm not done. He keeps going, and they cut back to headquarters while he's mid-sentence. Redmond asks Booker T about what he thinks of KO's obsession. The Hall of Famer responds that this is the perfect way to describe him. He's obsessed, and it's coming from him being defeated by Stone Cold at WrestleMania. But he also thinks that KO's one of the best in the game, so he needs to get himself back together, and beating Ezekiel's butt is gonna do it. About the handicap match between Bobby Lashley and MVP and Omos, Booker says he never bets against 1-on-2. MVP has actually said to him that he's got the best nutritionists, the best trainers, the best psychologists getting Omos ready for this. And you don't want someone like Omos catching up to the rest of the locker room because he could run the division. Further, he doesn't disagree with MVP. The fact that he kind of made Bobby Lashley and made all these opportunities happen for him. He's got an axe to grind and a 400-pound axe at his side. So I was a bit surprised to hear Booker T back MVP in this manner in the segment itself. I think he's kind of playing devil's advocate, and it's great to see that as opposed to the Hall of Famers being baby faces all the time, with the exception of JBL, of course. After a break, they replay footage from the one-on-one match with Asuka versus Bianca Belair. The EST comes out on top, and Big Time Bex immediately beats Bianca down after the match. We see Sarah Schreiber, who asks Becky chainmail ablaze about the advantage she has. Becky says if Asuka would spend less time making Simpsons memes, maybe she could win more. All of a sudden, KO starts laughing. He's sulking, apparently, still on the floor, then starts ranting about Ezekiel yet again. Becky buys a ticket for the crazy train. She co-signs that Ezekiel has been Ezekiel the whole time, but he debuted as Elias as a tribute to him, then shaved his beard and returned as Ezekiel. And I get in the moment that KO's the whole dang show. Or at least I'm hoping he's the whole dang show, because I know that Theory has the third segment, and I'm just praying that something happens with that to make it interesting. Anyway, Sarah says they're out of time, and as they're talking, Once again, they cut back to headquarters. They take another break after some banter about how crazed KO has become. Then they come back with a brawl between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. So the two of them have done a great job at adding intensity to this feud, especially in the past couple of weeks. It was apparent this week with Seth's promo about Cody leaving because he wasn't good enough. He and his little friends trying to tear down what he was building and them coming back to destroy the throne, that this was the closest to a direct reference to AEW I have ever seen. It was pretty breathtaking, to be honest. And it was cool since they don't have like the little Cody Vader to bring him up anymore. It was nice to hear a reference again. There were a lot of uh-ohs coming out of this living room that night. Curtis Axel helped separate the two. Cool to see him again. But conversation moves to Theory versus Mustafa Ali. Theory gave Mustafa his United States Championship opportunity immediately after the championship contenders match with Ciampa, so that Ali was completely worn out, and Theory peeled him off the canvas with his heelish spatula, flipped him over and won. But that wasn't enough, and while Kevin Patrick was interviewing Ali backstage, Theory attacked him and left him lying. So Raw Talk snaps to an interview between Kevin Patrick and Theory. He asks what the protege's confidence levels are like going into this match. Theory says he's the youngest US champion ever and Vince McMahon's protege, and Kevin Patrick's asking him about his confidence levels? He doesn't care about Ali being from Chicago, he's just the stepping stone, and Theory is the best US champion of all time. That's basically it. He brings up an excellent point though. Does Ali's being from Chicago actually mean anything? Will commentary make it a point to mention it at the premium live event? Will it factor into the match at all? Stay tuned to the Casualeann That Wrestling Fan channel to catch my Hell in a Cell predictions. I'll address what I think of the matches, and if there are any questions you have about them, place them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer those too. Post-interview, they return to headquarters. Booker T loves Theory. He sees himself in him, especially that he ruffles some feathers and isn't worried about making friends. Booker T says back in the day, all he was worried about was keeping the boss happy. But Theory should have softened Mustafa Ali up a little bit more. That may have been a critical mistake for the kid. Jackie Redmond says she knows Booker T's serious because he's doing like this kind of thing with his hands or something like that. But Matt Camp announces that the bump is moving to 1 p.m. on Wednesday, and Alexa Bliss and Maurice will be their guests. That's the close of the episode. You know what? Not even Theory could ruin this Raw Talk for me. Why, you may ask? You had two of the best personalities in the game on Raw Talk. I'm convinced the KO should be hosting it. No offense to Redmond or Camp. He was the most impactful and he kept me laughing any time that he was on camera. And I haven't even been a huge fan of the whole Ezekiel storyline. It doesn't necessarily make me more excited about the match, but I just loved to watch Kevin Owens being silly, drenched in conspiracies, just generally entertaining. Plus, the show wasn't as long as it usually is, which is a major plus after 3 hours of Raw. But they turned their typical weakness of not giving the wrestlers enough time to talk on its head, and they made it a part of this almost show-long storyline. Becky Lynch went right along with it in her segment seamlessly. You know, you got these two crazy people drawing silly string connections between photos and their bunkers with their tinfoil hats and chainmail. If they'd let Kevin Owens come back just one more time during Theory's interview, I'd have given the show a 5 out of 5. But this one was close. It was tantalizingly close to perfect. My final rating is 4.5 out of 5. The must-watch is stretched across the first two wrestler interviews. Both KO and Kevin Patrick's banter and the connection with Becky Lynch are just too good to miss. What did you all think? What do you make of the brawl with Cody and Seth? Did any of the Go Home Raw segments actually make you excited for Hell in a Cell? Wondering why WWE haven't mentioned the Women's Tag Team Championship tournament anymore? I can't answer that, but you can find out how I would book the tournament by clicking right here. Let me know any thoughts you have in the comments, and don't forget to like this video, share it, subscribe to this channel if you haven't, and enable notifications so you know when videos come out. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.